All right, I am back at the location of the encounter the other day. So I got what I deem proper equipment this time. FLIR, 10mm handgun instead of a 9, casting equipment, video recorder, sound recorder, other stuff. I brought the drone. I don't think I'm going to use that right now. I'll have enough time, but I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to get down in there from the location of the other day, scout around, see if we can get something going. Check back soon. One thing I'm going to mention real quick, my daughter brought it to my attention when she watched my video. The other day when I got down, I walked down into the area where the tree was pushed down and all the noise was happening. And I urinated. And I did that for one reason, one simple reason, that was to provoke the Bigfoot. There's been a lot of times where stories of people, when they do that unintentionally, they get a response, a very negative response, and that's what I was trying for. Maybe a bluff charge or something, just to see what would happen. Kind of a alpha male testing the other alpha male. So it did not happen. Maybe that's for the best, I don't know. But I thought I would mention that real quick. It wasn't that I had to pee, I was trying to elicit a response. Okay, here we are at the Little Footbridge. This is the location where shit popped off, right down there. So, right down there is where we're headed. And I do have audio recorder running right the whole time, so when I come out here and do this stuff, I practice a term that's commonly referred to as mind speak. Many people report that these things can basically communicate telepathically. And I do believe it. Even Survivor Man there, what's his name? He has that show, Survivor Man. He did an entire year's worth, or 2 years worth of Bigfoot episodes. And he was spoken to while camping out one night, seeking these creatures out, these beings, I should say, not creatures. I believe they are a form of at least part human. So I project that I come in peace, that I am armed. I wish no harm to them if they have no harm to me. And I come seeking knowledge. And I welcome a face-to-face encounter if they are willing to give it to me. That's what I project. This is how I typically come out. Backpack, sidearm, FLIR, voice recorder, obviously a headlamp, stuff like that, casting material. So down in that direction was where the tree came crashing down and all the stomping around happened the other day. I tried to listen to that recording on my headphones and I can't find my headphones. I think they're at my other place over in Curtis. So I put earbuds in, the ones I used to go to the gym with every day. I could hear, as I was standing there, I could hear the clearly bipedal footsteps down the hill after the tree come down. So it is on there. And away we go. Well, as I always like to say, even an uneventful day of squatching is better than a good day at work. I mean, look at this. Just beautiful. It's a beautiful area. It's part of the Hiawatha National Forest. Yeah, trail's in rough shape, just rotted. Actually dangerous. This is federal forest, federal trails, federal campground here. So as our illustrious politicians are money laundering billions into Ukraine and into their own pockets, the pockets of the military industrial complex, stuff that our citizens like to use, like this trail system, they have no funding, they have no money to fix this stuff. Sad. The other day when I was here, you could hear pileated woodpeckers just drilling on these trees. Well, there's some of the byproduct of their work. Always amazed me. How their heads are strong enough to do that to a solid tree. I always notice a lot of encounters happen around the water, rivers, lakes, streams. What a gorgeous setting. The only problem is when you're going along areas like this, is the water masks a lot of sound, drowns out a lot of background noise, so it's hard for me to hear exactly what's going on. Right now I have active bird activity around me. Songbirds are here. They're all coming back from their migration, so we have normal animal activity. Generally, not always, generally. It'll be quiet. We'll see. There's one of my shoe prints from the other day. That would be a Merrill size 13. One of the theories, and I have no opinion on it basically, but one of the theories is get along a moving river and the sound and the energy from the water masks their ability to sense people coming upon them. So Steve Isdell, I believe, is one of the ones that brought that up. It's an interesting concept. If you have not checked out his YouTube channel, I strongly recommend you do it. He slams the BFRO, which I belong to, on there on a constant basis, and some warranted, some not, but some of his points are valid. Some of it's a little far-fetched, but very good channel. Stand-up guy. His channel is How to Hunt. Check it out. A lot of these YouTube channels out there, and I'm not slamming them because I believe there's definitely a place for them. They read emails, they sit in their house, or go to a scenic location. Just like Steve, I mentioned. Read emails from viewers' experience, and that's a very needed part. But to me, if you want to find answers, you need to be out here. This is where you're going to have encounters. This is where, just like the other day when the tree was pushed down on me. This is where you're going to have stuff happen. It's not going to happen in your living room. Not going to, well, I shouldn't say it won't happen in your car because it depends on where you're parked. But, yeah. That's my goal, is to get out here and investigate areas. I touched on mind speak, where I believe these beings can speak telepathically. I mean, there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of accounts of that happening. I've never had it happen myself. Like I say, when I enter the woods, I give out a message in my mind that I come in peace. I wish to communicate that I am armed, and I wish them no harm. But Les Stroud, that's what I was trying to think of. Survivor Man. He had an incident. He only speaks about it a few times of mind speak, when he was actively seeking these things out for his Bigfoot year-long special when he traveled throughout North America. And the other thing I wanted to mention is zapping. I've been zapped once now. You hear these terms that we in the Bigfoot community use, and we only theorize things because all this stuff is a theory. But I believe it's infrasound that these things use, quite effectively I might add. And basically it's could be a form of defense. Lots of accounts of people laying like in their campsites, tents, paralyzed basically while they hear something going around a campsite. They're immobilized. Well, it would make sense if these things can do that for their safety to immobilize you so you don't shoot them or freak out. They come in, check your stuff out, and leave. But sometime around 2009 or so, I was on a BFRO expedition here in the UP with a gal named Pam Porter, probably the most fearless squatcher I've ever met. She had all kinds of stuff happen. I'll touch on that in a future video, but she'd always put her tent right to the woods or just in the woods, away from everybody else. And she had an incident a year or two after that. I don't remember the year. It might have been 2009. I think it was Pennsylvania or West Virginia, somewhere over that way. Where the story I heard, I wasn't there, but she basically, there was a large sasquatch that she knew was there. They could hear it thrashing around, making noises, and she charged towards it. And she was zapped or hit with infrasound or whatever you want to call, basically brought her to her knees. And right after that, she got really sick and never recovered from it. Months down the road, she was diagnosed with cancer. I think it was lymphomic, but don't hold me to that. And she just never come out of it. She ended up passing away. Now, there's some people that say that that's not related. Some people say it is. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't know. What I do know is she was healthy before that, and after she was zapped, she was never healthy again, never felt right. So the other day when I was out here and that tree was pushed down and you could hear the bipedal footsteps down the hill stomping around trying to get me out of here, my first thought was run towards it, you know, elicit a response. And then Pam's ordeal went through my head, and like, no, we're not going to do that. I may try something like that down the road, I don't know, but I'm not sure how these things would react in that circumstance, running towards them. I do know, because I've had it happen at least a half a dozen times now, the other day included, you stand your ground or you go towards them, they back away. Their goal is to get you out of there without a confrontation, scare you, basically. And I feel confident at this point that if you just stand your ground, there will be no confrontation. So that's my thoughts on that. I've been zapped one time, I believe. I was down towards Luzerne, a place called the Foley Swamp. So the area where I found a 20-inch footprint. I used to go down there a lot when I lived in the northern lower peninsula. And I remember it was August, like 80 degrees. Drove down there, this area in the Foley Swamp. I had some cameras set up. And there's a 2-track that goes about a mile and a half. Intersects into a power line, I believe it is. So I was walking a 2-track, felt fine. Got about 3/4 of a mile down there, and I just got dizzy, nauseated. Just felt awful. Like, picture the worst case of the flu. I mean, I don't get colds, flus, any of that stuff, but that's what it felt like. Turned around. I remember getting just so bad, it was like, I hope I can make it to the car. Got to the car, it was fine. Went away, never came back. And I would have dismissed it. You know, it was odd that it ended as quickly as it began once I left the area. Then I got talking to another BFRO investigator, Fred. And he's been out there with me. He's been out there by himself. He lives in southern Michigan, but he's from Newberry. And I got telling him about that. He goes, really? We call it the Pines Camp. Was it the Pines Camp? And I said, yeah. Whereabouts? And I tell him, he goes, I had the exact same thing happen there. I go, really? Yep. So I do believe that he and I were mildly zapped to get us out of there. Once again, it's all theoretics. But only way you're going to learn is to get out here and do this shit.